I'm Juan Francisco, and I'm a psychic medium. I'm here with you to explore your intuition, the supernatural, and self empowerment. This is Third Eyesight. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week of Third Eyesight. If you're joining me for the first time, I am Juan. I am a psychic medium. And I don't know why I felt the need to reintroduce myself on this episode. I never do that. There have been some interesting recent developments where people have been discovering me in interesting ways. And I guess I'm in the spirit of just reintroducing myself. Pardon the weirdness. Being weird. Okay, on to the topic today. So, I want to talk about why some psychic mediums need to say no. And as a client, if you're the one receiving the reading, why you might hear a no from a psychic medium. Now, what do I mean by the no's? I want to talk about some ethics. When a psychic medium needs to set a boundary and say no. And the tricky part about being a psychic medium is that if we're doing a mediumship reading especially, and really any kind of reading, any kind of psychic reading, must be done with care and sensitivity. But especially, I think, in a mediumship reading, where we are channeling those who have departed, and those departures are so intricately tied to grief and loss for the client, sometimes we have to set some firm boundaries. Now, what's an example of that? Let's say that you, the client, just lost your loved one last week. And of course, you're going to grieve the loss for a very long time, but because it is so fresh, you're in such a vulnerable place. If you come to me and say that, my brother just passed last week, I want to hear from him, I'm going to book you. What I've told clients is, well, first and foremost, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm sending you lots of love. And I think that right now is not the right time for you to see a medium and for you to see me. Talk to your brother. He can hear you. We can come back to work together in several months from now, maybe 2 or 3 months. But for now, you're in a very vulnerable place, rightfully so. You're grieving his loss. It is still fresh. And a reading may not be what you need right now. I'm telling you, as a psychic medium, this may not be what you need right now. That's an example of I, a psychic medium, saying in so many words, a gentle no. Another example is this comes down to also just energetically the time commitment behind being a medium for some people. Like some clients don't want to book you every week, every other week. And I'm of the mindset as a medium, that a mediumship reading should not happen more than 2 or 3 times a year. There's no reason to see a medium more often than that. Some people have a different opinion on that, have a different take on that. But we are not here to be your phone line to heaven, to be your phone line to God and your loved ones. It becomes to me it's a slippery slope into having your client see you as the only way to talk to their loved ones. And that's just not true. I believe as psychic mediums, we're here to encourage you with what you've just experienced. We're here to remind you that they're already with you. That's the reason we can channel them for you, because you bring them with you to the reading. And then encourage you to keep communicating with them on your own and trusting the signs that you get from them. That's another example of no. Saying, hey, I don't see clients this often. I highly recommend you book me no more than 2 or 3 times a year. Setting those boundaries. And it's not easy because as psychic mediums, so many of us, and I'm not in this boat. I have a 9-to-5 full-time job separate from this. But so many of us, we rely on this as our full-time, our whole income. And so I think it could be easy for some psychic mediums to want to get booked as often as possible by a few clients because it means money's coming in. But is it ethical? And every medium works differently. This is just my own take. And some other examples, like sometimes people who book mediums and psychics, what they really need is mental health counseling. They do not need a psychic or medium at this moment. They need someone to talk to who is a professional in psychology or who is a life coach, because they're trying to get answers from a medium. How do I put this? We can go to a psychic medium expecting them to give us all the answers of what we need to do in a situation, but that's not always likely that a psychic or a medium will be able to do that. It's possible, but if you're looking for all of life's answers to your questions right now, I think a psychic or a medium is a good resource, but it's not everything, because maybe a lot of those questions you have more to do with your personal demons or the personal battles you have, your mental health struggles. And so I would never tell anyone, instead of seeing a therapist or psychologist, see a psychic or a Reiki healer, because that's just one part of who we are. Now, I know this is going to sound confusing. All we are is spiritual. But we're also here living in these human bodies. We have these human brains, and these human brains are impacted by our upbringing, by our parents, by the adults in our life, the messages we hear on TV and radio and music, making us feel not good enough or telling us we're not enough and we need to buy more. Or parents making us feel like we need to achieve and be perfect to be loved. These are all things that our human brain absorbs. And these are all things that spirituality, a spiritual path, will definitely help with. But therapy, life coaching, I think those can and sometimes should be part of the spiritual path. Just because it's not a spiritual practitioner doesn't mean it's not part of your spiritual path. So another reason a psychic medium may say no to you in doing a reading for you or in answering certain questions in a reading is because they're not well equipped for that. For instance, if someone tells me in a reading, if a client tells me that they struggle with schizophrenia and they hear voices, or they struggle with obsessive compulsive disorder, like I do, like I have in the past, and they need prayer to help them overcome their OCD, and they want me to pray over them, I can absolutely pray over my clients, and I can pray with them, but I will always tell them, I want you to know that there are resources out there for you that will directly help you, will give you that those resources will give you what you need to cope with your anxiety, with your schizophrenia, with the disorder that you're experiencing. They will give you the help that I cannot give you. They'll work with your human brain. I'm working with the spirit world. I'm working with your intuition. I'm working with your spiritual energy. But they're going to be able to help you on another level that I can't. And so if someone wants to book me again because they want me to cure their schizophrenia or cure their anxiety, I don't know if I would feel comfortable doing that. And you got some practitioners who will give you a crystal to help with your anxiety. I think there's a difference between anxiety. There are anxiety disorders, like what I have. And then there's just everyday stress. Everyday stress, here's a rose quartz, right? Here's a selenite. That's a very different scenario than I have an anxiety disorder. I have obsessive compulsive disorder. I cannot stop washing my hands. I don't know why. I can't stop. I'm afraid. That a crystal will not solve. A spiritual journey may, as my dog bumps into my microphone. Anyways, rude canine. What was I saying? A spiritual journey. We are all on a spiritual journey, period. You are on a spiritual journey. Within that spiritual journey, there are so many different modalities that can help you live this human life to the fullest. And a crystal healer isn't going to solve your every problem when there is psychology involved, when there is Trauma. In my experience, I've have an amazing therapist for 4 or 5 years now, maybe 4 years. And I've also worked with a spiritual mentor, and I've been delving more into my spiritual side, and I've been recognizing my value and worth because of my spiritual belief. That's just my own journey. Not everyone needs a spiritual belief system to know their value and worth. But it has helped me see my value and worth. But that coupled with therapy has helped me understand, why do I see myself with such low self-worth? Oh, that comes from my childhood. That comes from those messages I heard growing up. What is the truth? The truth is, I am valuable. I am a soul. I'm a piece of God. I'm creative. I'm beautiful. So therapy has actually helped me move along on my spiritual journey big time. Big time. And I wouldn't be where I am without therapy, let me tell you. And I also wouldn't be where I am without my spiritual mentor. And me delving into the spiritual work 4 years ago, I wouldn't be where I am. So it's important that these two things I let them coexist. And it's the reason that some of us psychic mediums may tell you, hey, no, I can't help you with that. I can help you only so much, but the rest of this requires another kind of expertise. And if you're the client in this kind of scenario, these scenarios that I described, please note it doesn't come from a place of shaming you, judging you. It's because we have good intention. We want you to seek the help that you need. And fellow psychic mediums who are listening, if you disagree with what I'm saying, that's absolutely your prerogative. It's whatever works for you. But at least be clear on your intention as to why you are working with the people you're working with. And is what you are doing with the people you're working with, is it working? Are the results showing? Because if someone tells me, hey, all the crystals I've sold to this client have helped them overcome their major anxiety, you know what? Power to you, is none of my business. If it works for you, it works for you. If it works for your client, it works for your client. But at least be honest about it, and let's set a good intention around this. Our intentionality is so important. I think the best intention we can have as psychics and mediums is to empower people, to help people live their best lives. Sela disagrees. She's coughing out her disagreement, but that's okay. She and I coexist in the same household, and I'm gonna tolerate it. Just like all of us mediums, we can disagree often about things in this realm of psychic mediumship work. But just focus on your intentionality. That's the most important thing. And you as the client getting a reading, also focus on your intention. What am I booking this psychic for? What kind of questions do I want to get answers to? And am I seeking it in the right place? And it's okay to set a boundary with a psychic medium too. Tell them, hey, I prefer if you can communicate that differently. It's not one way. It's not only psychic mediums who should set energetic boundaries or appropriate boundaries. You, the client, can too. Because I've heard some psychic mediums say wild things to clients, okay, in group settings, that I would be like, I don't know about that. Saying no is just as important as being open and saying yes. Saying no. I just thought of this metaphor. You have this road, this spiritual road. Without the lanes being separated, without the dividing line in the road, the markers, some of the cars are not going to know where they're going to go, where they need to go. I'm my own little car, and other cars are coming my way, but they don't know whether to be in the middle of the road because it's a one-way road, or to be on the left side or the right side of the road. But when I set my boundaries and put that line down the middle of the road, people know where they need to go. People know where they need to go, and I know where I need to go. And it gets us to our destination. So with that, I leave you with this much shorter episode, but hopefully a very, very helpful episode. And I'm sending love to you all. And if you are looking at your calendar, 2026 is less than 90 days away, which is insane. So if you want to get your 2026 reading in before December 31st, feel free to book with me at juanfranciscospirit.com. Mediumship or psychic card readings, whichever resonates with you. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye. Follow the podcast and please leave a review. If you want me to talk about a specific subject on the podcast or you have a question for the podcast, go to juanfranciscospirit.com and go to my contact page and submit that question.